Hello everybody, we're going to start on your next food practical, which is going to be making a apple crumble. So we're going to need a few basic ingredients. We're going to need 75 grams of salted butter, 150 grams of plain flour, 100 grams of granulated sugar. We're going to need 4 apples, and I'm using some large Bramley apples for this. And to add a bit of spice and flavour, we're going to add some ground cinnamon as well. We're also going to need some equipment to do this with, so we're going to need a saucepan, a mixing bowl, mixing spoon, potato peelers and a sharp knife. And finally, we're going to need an oven-proof dish to be able to cook our crumble in. So our first task is to get these apples peeled. So move them out of the way for a second and start getting the apples peeled. Okay, so obviously before I started to wash my hands and I washed all my work surface down, but I'm going to keep myself tidy as I go along, so I'm just going to get rid of all those apple peels. And I've already got myself a sink of boiling water, sink of hot water, so I'm just going to get rid of anything I'm not using out of the way, so they're ready to be washed a little bit later. Once you've got your apples peeled, you need to get a sharp knife. We're back to using that bridging method, so we can put the sharp knife next to our finger knuckles, so we're not cutting into our fingers, and we're going to slice this apple down around the core, so I can get rid of that core section into the bin. There's any last little bits of core in there, just chop them off. And I'm going to do that to all of my 4 apples. Okay, once I've actually then cut them all down and the cores out, I'm going to dice these. So again, use that claw method, so you're going against your fingers and not cut into your fingers, and as soon as you've cut them up into smaller bits, straight into a saucepan. It's only rough cutting at the moment because we are going to stew all these down. Okay, so we need to start stewing the apples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put half of the sugar in with the apples. And I'm also going to add into there some cold water until it's just about coming up to halfway into the pan. I'm going to turn my oven on. I'm going to get that cooking at a medium temperature. And that's going to take about 10-15 minutes for the apples to stew. It's a good opportunity now to get my oven turned on. So I'm going to set my oven to 200 degrees and get that warming up. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start making my topping. So I'm not going to need the chopping board for this part. I'm going to move that out of the way. Just getting my hands a bit rinsed. And because I'm actually going to get my hands into the flour and into the butter to mix it all together, I'm going to take off any jewellery and any watches. And bring my mixing bowl over. Now into my mixing bowl, I'm going to put in the flour, the rest of the sugar, and my 75 grams of butter. And what I'm going to start doing is rubbing this in, so that's using my hands to break up and mix the flour and the butter and the sugar together. I'm going to keep breaking it through my fingers, rubbing it through my fingers, crushing it all up, and eventually it will stop being clumps of butter and flour and it will turn into what looks like breadcrumbs. That's what I'm waiting for. So get that rubbing in. It's going to take you 5 or 6 minutes to get that done. Okay, and after 5 or 6 minutes, you've got a nice breadcrumb mixture there. What looks like breadcrumb, where the butter is broken up into the flour and the sugar. Get your hands and rinse. We can add a little bit of cinnamon into this. And just give that a stir around. That's going to give a little bit of extra flavour to the top end. And we can put that to one side. Have a check on the apples. They're not ready yet, they're going to take about another 10 minutes until they've nicely softened. Hi guys, I'm back with you. The stewed apples have all started breaking down, so if we bring that over, you can see that instead of having chunks of apple, we've now got what looks almost like an apple sauce. Now into there, I'm going to add some cinnamon, give that a bit of a mix around. This is also your perfect opportunity to personalise it a little bit more if you want. You might want to add some things like raisins or sultanas if you want to add that to your apple crumble. Okay, that would make a nice addition as well. Just going to leave that just slowly bubbling away there, just for that cinnamon to infuse into the apples. While that's doing that, I'm going to bring my oven-proof bowl over. Give that a last stir. And then I'm going to coat the bottom of my oven-proof bowl with my stewed apples. Give it a little bit of a shake just to level it all out. And then I'm going to get my apple crumble mixture. I'm going to spread that nice and evenly over the top. Just get your hands on there, get it nice and evenly covered up to the edges, and that's your apple crumble done, ready to go straight into the oven. Now it's going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes, like I said, a preheated oven at 200 degrees, and I'm going to leave it in the oven until the surface of my apple crumble starts to look like it's got a little bit golden brown, until you'll probably start seeing some of the apple sauce bubbling up around the edges. So that's going to take about 20 minutes. We'll come back in 20 minutes and we'll check how it's done. While it's cooking, I'm going to get all of this cleared up, okay, and take the opportunity to tidy everything up and away. Okay guys, I'm back with you. It's been in the oven for about 20 minutes, so let's see how it's done. Remember, we're going to need oven gloves this time because it is going to be really hot. And that's just about perfect. Maybe about a minute too long because it's just gone a little bit too dark around there, but perfect around the edges, a little bit of bubbling over the top. Could have avoided that by having a little bit of a thicker crumble layer on the top, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. Now we can serve that up with custard, cream. You could get some thick double cream, or you could put some ice cream with it, or just as it is. That's up to your personal choice.